All right.
Hopefully this works.
If it works for you, I'm gonna be low key upset because like, why won't it work for me?
Yeah, that would be weird. Like, because I know you're doing the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
it brings me back to my feed. So that's happening for me too. Let me go to the page again. I don't know why it does that. It's so dumb. It should bring you to the live, not to your page, not to our page. Rather.
Hmm. I'm also looking at the page as well.
I still don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it on my end either.
Hmm. All right. Well, if anything, we need to make sure that we're recording this because if we're not going live, we won't have any sort of recording if we don't record it in Zoom.
Could you make a quick while I do that, could you make a quick Facebook post on the page saying we're having difficulties with that, the live?
Yeah, I'll make you host again because clearly it's a universal problem. I mean,
It's been fine, and then after this point it's like, nope, never mind. I know bad luck
or
now.
you can just take back or here, make host. Okay, there you go. And I'll make a Facebook post here if you just wanted to start the workshop because it looks like we're like 6 minutes, and then make sure it's recording.
Go ahead and find it.
So we're just gonna do a run through as if.
Yeah, as if like we have participants and stuff because they can like watch the recording and follow up from there, record on this computer. All right, and we're recording. So we're already 6 minutes into the workshop, so let's go ahead and get started. Hello, my name is Davina. I'm one of the Chai artists. We also have Poppy here online. And this is our artist for today leading the workshop. This is Yovanna. Yovanna, I'm going to share a little bit about yourself.
Hi, folks. My name is Yovanna. I am local to Stockton. I was born and raised here. I'm a proud Chicana, first generation. My family migrated from Michoacan, Mexico back in the 80s, but our story goes further than that, back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s during the Bracero program, like a lot of our grandparents and great grandparents do in this community, especially because it's farm worker. I am a proud graduate of St. Mary's High School. I'm a Rams alum, and I work pretty heavily in social justice related issues in the community. I've worked in nonprofits, campaigns, grassroots, and now I am in a way incorporating all of those things that I've learned, and I am in the middle of exploring art.
Nice. I
Yeah.
love that. I love your story.
Yeah.
And that's like really really cool. And what you have, like what I'm able to see in front of me, is really cool. And I'm so excited to see like the progress of this workshop. Do you want to tell a little bit about what you're planning to make for everybody, or what you're demonstrating for everybody today?
Yes, so today's workshop is called Honoring the Ancestors, Exploring Mexican Folk Art. And I just wanted to focus on tradition, culture, art, um, as a means to honor your ancestors, honoring your antepasados, our elders, our culture by creating art. And for a lot of indigenous people, our art doesn't fit in the traditional sense of like beautiful architectures of the Sistine Chapel and art that you would see in the Louvre, which is all amazing because I love it. But I feel like for a long time it's left out a lot of like cultures when it comes to displaying that kind of art. Our art is, basket weaving, murals that depict storytelling, working with textiles, working with sugar skulls like I do, and things like that. So today I just kind of wanted to invite you all and incorporate and show you all like really basic crafts that we can all do at home. I really like them because they're also affordable, which makes them accessible, which is really, really important. And we're going to do it in a way that invokes our ancestors because we're alive and we're here and we're privileged enough to like sit together as best as we despite the pandemic and community, and make art together and heal together.
That's awesome. I love that. And honestly, with I think with Latino like folk art in general, it's very texturized and like things you can touch and very bright colors, and that's something that's always attracted me. Well, it's even inspired my own art as well. And but yeah, what you have in front of me is very very beautiful, and I can't wait to see the process of it all. So let's just start with our beginning activity. You have like a big question to ask people.
Yes. A question that I realized I hadn't asked myself, and I found myself, like a lot of us in the pandemic, like freaking out, not knowing what's what and what's going on, and being really introspective, right? Like pondering life and your existence and stuff like that. So, one of the questions I posed for myself this year was, what are things that I enjoyed as a child that I don't do anymore for myself? And how have I neglected like my inner child, essentially? So the community question is, what art related activities did you enjoy as a child that you no longer do as an adult? So that could be anything from dance, theater, making things against like texturized, tactile, working with wood, all of these kinds of crafts. So for myself, something that I didn't used to do that I am doing now. Luckily, that's why I started this business. And that's that I used to sketch quite a bit. I used to work with pencil. And as an adult, I did other kinds of art like mural working with acrylic and things like that. And I was really good at it. And I had not done that for a very, very long time. And truth be told, even though I have Mikisli Sugar Skulls right now, that's been like the bottom of my list, and I keep like putting it off for some really weird reason. And it's kind of like I'm negotiating with myself, like, can I do it? Of course you can. You've always had it in you. This is like your calling. So I'm kind of like mitigating that. And honestly, like in the process of my business and making my crafts, it's just been a push to just expand what I can do and like reaffirm what I already know, which is that I can.
Exactly. And I think that's a big thing in any business in general as well, like getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that probably scare you as well. But let's go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and just give you the floor on explaining how to make the ojos de Dios.
Sure. So we have 3 crafts today that we're doing. It's going to require, I know that you folks have your materials or your materials list. So I like to save the best for last, which is the ojos de Dios. So craft number 3 is going to be making these awesome, lovely, wonderful paper flowers. I really, really love them. They're super simple. And these are items that you can also put on the altar. You don't necessarily have to use them for Day of the Dead. You can go ahead on my page and I have information about the Day of the Dead specifically. But what's amazing about these crafts, the 3 that we're doing, which is the paper flowers, the banners, which are the papel picado, and then lastly, the ojos de Dios. All of these items are really easy. They're accessible. You can make them on your altar. You can use them for birthday celebrations, weddings, anything and everything, and you can get really creative with them. So the first one we're going to make is going to make these awesome little paper flowers, and it only requires 2 materials, which is your choice of tissue paper, any color you want. And I'm going to choose pink, and then we're going to cut some for you. What color would you like?
I'll have pink.
Pink, okay.
Let me go ahead. Poppy, if you could actually no, I'm still the host, so let me just spotlight. Let me give you the spotlight so that people can see what you're doing.
Yellow, actually, give it some color.
Spotlight everyone. There you go. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
So now people can see your process.
So I am going to cut probably about 4 to 6 inches. I have my tissue paper folded in sections just because it came that way and it's easier for me to manage. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut. I'm actually cutting this for you, so I'm gonna prep this for you. And then where's the center? Oh, so it is there. And I'm gonna cut this in, they're not quite rectangles. It can be squares or rectangles. And again, my paper's kind of pre-folded. So here you have a nice little stack of flowers, and that is for you.
Oh, thank you.
And then you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna have a flower, so you're gonna get a green stem.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna cut myself some yellow paper. Again, it's probably like 5 inches maybe.
We have someone coming in. All right. And we'll have them connect to audio. Hello, Favor. You're just in time. We're about to make our paper flowers.
Hi there, welcome.
Let's see what I talk.
Hello,
Hi. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for joining us. We are right in the middle of cutting our tissue paper. We are going to be making some flowers, some paper flowers.
Okay,
Our first decoration for Mexican folk art. You can do these in all kinds of different colors, birthday party decorations, all kinds of things.
I just got I couldn't pick up, but do you have a pen and a piece of paper? I can write down the same code.
Pen right here, and you can use my tablet.
Okay, 'cause I was gonna just pick up the phone.
No problem. All right. I have some strips of my tissue paper. Check out the size. I want them to be rectangular, squarish. There. And then open up the center because I want to cut in the middle of the crease. And then I'm going to lay them on top of each other. I have a nice stack here. The next step I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to make a fan. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift this probably the width of my thumbs right here. You see that?
Excuse me, I'll go ahead and call them back.
Problem. And then you're going to flip it over the other way. And you're essentially going to make a fan or an accordion. And you're just going to flip this back and forth like this. Okay. Like this.
Hey, Yovanna, just so you know, I think we actually are live. It's on our home. It says it's happening now. So we're currently live, and we have 2 watchers.
Yeah, we do. We have someone. And then you're going to take your flower. It just depends how long you want it to be. I like mine to be a little bit shorter. So I'm actually going to cut this pipe cleaner in half. And this is going to be my stem. I'm going to go ahead and pick up my fan. And then I am going to lay this behind. And I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to make sure that I have a little bit of space down here so I can twist. I can make a tight twist there like this. Okay, and I should have something that looks like a bow or an accordion. And what I like to do with my flowers, I like to trim the ends here so that it looks like a petal. So I did an accordion.
An accordion. Okay.
And I flipped it.
I'm a little behind. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So, first step was
You don't need the pipe cleaner. You need to just, I'm going to do a couple of folds right here.
we have someone wanting to come in. There you go. Okay.
So this is what you're going to do, this repetitive motion. There you go. And so I'm going to cut the petals here. I'm going to round the edges out. Also, as I'm cutting, I don't know if you folks like to do arts and crafts. I like to save these in different colors, and they make for great like confetti and wrapping paper and stuff. So in case you all are interested in recycling. So I'm just going to trim out the petals. I think that's good right there. And then I'm going to trim the other side. It's a little tough because there are layers and layers of tissue. I would suggest use about 8 sheets. 8, 12, and 16 are good numbers. 16 is pretty tough. That will be a lot of tissue papers that you have to separate. So I'm going to open this and see how it looks, how we cut the tips of the tissue paper. I made some petals. I'm actually going to cut this one a little more.
Can I rotate this?
Oh yeah, for sure. Sorry.
Okay.
So I'm going to start at the bottom. Make sure your stem is like this. I am going to do it sideways so you can see. I'm always going to start with the bottom layer of the tissue paper. It's a lot easier than if you do it at the top. So I just like to pull. And this takes time and patience because it's tissue paper and there are so many layers. So if you are an impatient person, this will certainly teach you how to be. So here I am. I'm just separating the layers like that. And I'm gently pulling them and then I'm just fixing it. Ooh, tissue paper sticks. Again, quite a few layers here. Lots of layers. This is barely the third one. So if you get a flower with like 8 layers, 8 to 16, it takes quite a bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Just gonna pull 2 at a time. I want you all to see what it looks like afterwards. Also, when I get halfway through pulling these downward is when I like to start at the top and then start pulling the ones at the top. Just makes it easier. And you start giving the flower shape. Let's see. So the community question, because I see some people that joined us, the community question that I had posed, and it's something for all of you to think about. And that was, what art-related activity did you enjoy as a child that you no longer do today? and maybe why. Why is that? Oh, see, they're so sensitive. I ripped a little bit there.
I think an activity that I don't do anymore is when I was a child was probably finger paint. And probably because I don't do it anymore is because it's messy. That's probably the only reason. I still paint and I still make a mess regardless. Like paint gets on my hands regardless, but
in kindergarten, that was my favorite art activity, was finger painting. I found it really therapeutic. I don't know, like the mush, like when you make mud pies and you touch the dirt, I just, something about the squishiness of the paint.
Mm-hmm. My brother was about like 2 or 3 and we were getting him to finger paint. He wouldn't even like really focus on the paper. He would just want paint in his hands just to squish. It's very sensory.
It is. I suppose that's why children like putting glue on their fingers.
Yeah. And the oddly satisfying of having to peel it off your finger once it dries.
So today I chose one color, just to give an example of the kind of dimension it has. With the other pictures that examples I have, I do have different colors.
Excuse me?
Hi.
I don't know what we're doing because I got on here late.
Hi there, friend.
Can you repeat what you said? We couldn't quite understand.
I said I got here a little late. Can you show me how you did that?
Oh, absolutely. Let me show you. Let me show you how to do that. I would be happy to. Let's grab another color. Let's do green. Let's do blue. Whoops. So I'm gonna grab my tissue paper, and I have a bunch of layers. I would say, yeah, you can probably grab 4 sheets, lay them on top of each other. And I actually like to fold them. Mine's are already up because it's easier. So here are my sheets. There's 4 of them and they're folded up because they'll be easier for you to cut. Okay. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm probably going to cut probably about the width of my scissors. See that? And I'm going to cut these sheets.
Sorry, I had to mute someone. Here you go.
And then I'm going to open these up. Gonna fix them, make sure they have their layers. Okay. And then I'm going to make 4 even sections. And all I'm gonna do is just cut in half. So I'm gonna fold this. You see that? So I'm gonna have 4 pieces of paper this shape. And I'm gonna open it up because I made really good creases, right? So I know where I need to cut. And then I have these pieces of paper and I'm going to lay them on top of each other, and I should have a nice little stack of tissue paper, and this is going to be the color of my flower. Now your stem, you also have these pretty cool pipe cleaners and you have different colors. You can choose whatever. I'm sticking to green because they're like flowers. And the next thing you're going to do once your stack of flowers, your stack of tissues are together, is you're going to make an accordion shape or a fan shape. And I like to flip it up. Again, probably like the width of my thumb. I'm going to flip it over again. And I'm going to fold down, right? Because I'm making a fan. I'm going to flip it over and fold up. I'm going to flip it over and fold down until I reach the end. How's that so far? Just want to pause and make sure.
I also pulled up the chat to see if someone just can type what they need to as well.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And like I said, I am going to use this green stem because I want it to be a flower. And I'm going to put the pipe cleaner behind the tissue paper. And I'm going to fold this down. And now I am going to have a little space at the bottom so that I can twist it and so that it's tight. Okay, so I have this and I'm going to twist, right? And then now I have a stem and some petals. Okay, then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to round out the edges right here. I'm going to round out the edges so that they replicate petals.
And you'll notice, since you have a thick stack of paper, it's pretty time consuming.
Yes, this is something that requires patience.
I mean, Yovanna, you look like you got the hang of it.
I have a pretty gnarly hand strength now. I do my hand exercises and stretches and can cut petals like no one's business. All right. Okay. So you should have something like this, and I cut the edges. And what I recommend is you fan them out. You want nice creases, but then I'm going to fan them out. And I would recommend you start at the bottom. Do the bottom half and pull them down. And when you're about halfway, start up at the top and then start pulling these upward. So we're going to do the bottom ones. These were too short, so they didn't get cut. I already ripped one. Very time consuming. But a lot of fun. If you have a birthday party, you can make these and hang them up as decorations. You can use black, silver, white. You can do these for baby showers, weddings, backdrops on strings for like quinceañeras. And like I said, the possibilities are endless when it comes to knowing something so simple and being able to decorate. And if it's too hard for you to pull one individual tissue paper at a time, then go ahead and just do it 2 by 2. Like, don't make it stressful on yourself. If you think you use too much tissue paper, the next time you can just use less. So then when you make that stack, there's obviously less tissue paper to cut through. So yeah, I'm just doing it 2 by 2. Gives it a lot of texture and fluffiness. Okay. So that's about halfway. Now I'm gonna flip it over on the top side, and I'm going to start pulling the top ones upward. And again, like I said, if it is too tricky and they're too fragile for you to pull individual pieces of the tissue, individual layers, then just go ahead and do 2 at a time. I remember one time as a child, myself and my cousins, we were having a wedding for a relative. And the entire night before, we all listened to music and hung out and chatted, and we made hundreds and hundreds of these white flowers for decoration for the hall and for the car for the bride and the groom. Okay. So that's half, right? You've done 2 halves so far. And I want to go ahead and finish one of them. And we're going to stick with the blue. Pull this out. Here's one layer. Glue it down. Fix it and fluff it up later. It hadn't occurred to me. Has anyone ever given a workshop with music in the background, or is that like not advised because it would be too distracting?
Not that I've seen. I haven't seen anyone do music, but
All right, so we're just done with this blue one. Now I did the bottom half, and I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna pull the top half ones just to make it easier. See? Okay. Does anyone remember Bob Ross?
Mhm.
He was really famous for saying there are no mistakes, but just happy accidents. And he's really, really famous and well known for that. And something to the effect that I don't think people can make mistakes when it comes to making art. So if you all rip a tissue paper, it's perfectly okay. All right. Almost done. Look at all those layers.
I'm going a little slow, but I'm seeing it.
No worries. Yeah, I think sometimes we just rush, at least I did or used to, a lot with my work and career and school and my kid, and just remembering that sometimes I gotta slow down. And I feel like there are certain types of arts that force one to be patient.
Mhm. I can definitely vouch for that.
Yeah. So I make large sugar skulls with the names of loved ones that have passed, that have transcended.
Mhm.
and it takes 12 hours for them to dry. And then it's a 2-part skull, so I put icing on that, and then I glue them together, and then that takes a few hours.
Mhm.
And then the last process is to actually decorate them,
Mhm.
and that takes a few more hours. So
That's like 3 days.
I always say it takes about 3 or 4 days. Yeah, for the turnaround time. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this lovely blue flower that we've made.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It has a bunch of layers. So I want to show you an example of this one. This one is my California poppy. This is the colors that I used. For my last few tissue papers at the bottom, I like to use greens, light greens, and yellows because they're more accurate to a real flower with the green stem. And then I like to play with different colors and use different shades of yellows, different shades of orange, different shades of purple of the same color. And I feel like that just makes it all that much more vibrant.
Mhm.
So,
Definitely.
okay. So these are just some examples. This is the one we've done. And this is how it should look, how you should start. It starts off as a fan. You clip the edges there. So we have this. All right. And I said, if you folks like to recycle and use these, I use them for packaging for boxes that I send over to different cities. I use this as confetti and I mix it with glitter and things like that, or sequins, and then I put it in the box and I just kind of like sprinkle it and it's really decorative. So that concludes the first craft. We have 2 more to go. We've just done these awesome, beautiful flowers. And so the next thing we're going to grab our materials. It's going to be tissue paper. You can have, depending on what your banner is going to be, it can be all of the same color. It can be different mixed colors. So I'm going to use colors that I haven't used yet. So I'm going to have this green. I'm going to pick this red. And actually going to pick this blue. Okay. So these are the colors that I've chosen. You can choose any colors you want. So I'm going to pre-cut the size of paper that I need for my banner or papel picado. And I want to take a second to talk about the importance of the papel picado. We use it again for weddings, celebrations, quinceañeras, really not knowing where it comes from or why it is that we do this. But in our culture, in the Mexican culture, we celebrate what's called Day of the Dead. And it is a celebration to honor and remember our loved ones that have passed. And so we set up altars, and all the altars encompass elements, right? So we have 4 natural elements: earth, wind, fire, air. And there are different things on the altar that represent different elements. Papel picado specifically represents the element of air because wind blows through it.
Mhm.
And so it's supposed to represent like other things on the altar, like the fire, for example. It's supposed to represent vitality and movement and an inclination of when we feel the breeze coming through the buffet, that it's our ancestors visiting us. So that's just a little bit of a backstory on papel picado and why we do it, what it means, and why it's important. So I laid out my colors. I'm actually going to do this for you all so that you can see just different sizes. I'm going to lay it out. And I want my banners to be on the smaller side. So I'm going to cut inches. Let's do a little more. Oh, got it. So my banners are going to be about this size, which means we're gonna use our wrist muscles in order to cut holes. I'm gonna move this tissue paper out of the way. And so often the way the banner works is the design starts off in the center, kind of outwardly. So what we're gonna do, like we learned in elementary school when we learned how to make snowflakes, we're gonna fold this twice. What is it, the hot dog way and the hamburger way? That's what we learned in elementary school. So I should have a piece about this size, bigger or smaller. I recommend no smaller than this, probably bigger, otherwise it will be hard for you to cut designs. So I want to show you again the way I folded this. I folded this 4 times. And I want you to put your finger on the part where there's the center and all the intersection, because this is where you're going to start cutting. And this is the center of your design. I am going to start with the shape. I'm going to give it a little pull, and you're going to have layers and layers of tissue that you cut through. You can do a square, you can do a triangle, you can cut in a circle, but I think these stand out a lot. So that's a fluffy, fluffy flower. Also, people like to spray perfume on them and like put them on a vase.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. People get really creative with things like that. Yeah. So perfume is one of them. Just really simple. I'm going to stick to triangles today. Okay. And again, I started at the center here. And then please don't cut your fingers. Be very careful, everybody. I say that because I was cleaning up today and I got a shard of glass in my hand accidentally, and I was like, be careful. So I'm just sticking to triangles because that seems to be the shape. But again, you can try squares, circles, you can do combinations. There's a lot of potentially negative space, so you can even fold it again. I don't think the scissors will cut, but let's give it a try. All right.
Yeah, you made it possible.
I did. I was determined. All right. So there you go. All right. Pretty simple. Now we're gonna go ahead and open it up and see what it looks like. Pretty simple. Lovely little colors. We've made. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out so you can see how they look. There's that. Actually like the green in the center for those of you that are tuning in. So that is what our banners look like.
Those are really pretty.
Yeah, thank you. Then we are going to make our banner. I just don't know where I put the tape. Oh. If not, I have it back. Okay, yep, there it is. Perfect. Thank you. So I have my banners, I have tape, and I have string. Oh, no. Sky. Let's do another color. We're going to use pink. I think that'll be a good contrast. So I'm going to cut the width of my banner, however long I would want it to be. I'm going to do this. I believe you all have about 5 feet. I'm not sure, but at least 5 feet is a good size standard banner. So I'm going to go ahead and use this color here. Do you want me to give you some so you can?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, let's share. Let's give you 2 of each. I have no idea where this came from. I think it's dye from my food. My food coloring for the sugar skulls for the icing. Okay. We're sharing some with Yovanna because she's sitting next to us. And sharing is caring. Awesome. So I have mine. Go ahead and thank you. This silver's pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down the banner. I'm gonna start at this end.
It came from the ribbon.
It came from the ribbon?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
This one though.
Gotcha.
Let me see. It stops. You can see it better. Stops about right. I'm so sorry. It's okay.
I'm gonna actually pre-cut some pieces. That will be easy. I'm using packaging tape because it's what I have. Alright. I think you all received the tape from a tape dispenser, which will be a little bit easier to use. So, go ahead. Awesome. So I have just a couple pre-cut pieces. And yes, you can do it this way or whichever way. Line them up in a pattern. Blue, green, red, even flat. I'm actually going to do mine this way. And I like to put the tape actually behind the thread or behind the string that I'm using. I'm gonna lay that there. Oh, let's do it right there. So I put the tape behind and I'm gonna pull it over to the top. There's the first one. And then I'm gonna use this green. I'm gonna put the adhesive sticky side facing me, right? I'm gonna put it behind the string, curling ribbon rather. Place it there. I'm gonna fold it over. And this is our second. Gonna get some more tape. Again, I have my tape facing me, the adhesive sticky side this way facing me. Again, it goes behind the curling ribbon. I'm gonna place my banner. Fold over. So here we have let's do a couple more since we have time and we're not here to rush in. Let's do one more. I'm going to do another group of blue, green, and red. Blue, green, and red. Okay, I'm going to place them this way. I'm going to pre-cut 3 pieces because I know I'm going to use that and it'll be easier for me. Some good strategy.
Mhm.
And then one more. I have 3 pieces right here next to me that I'm going to use. So I am going to use the next color in the pattern, and that is blue. And again, I'm going to put the tape behind the curling ribbon, adhesive facing me. And then I'm going to green. Last color, red. So again, the tape is going to go behind the curling ribbon. You're going to lay this on and then pull the top part of the tape. So here we have, to show you all, different angles. Make sure I show everyone this one and this one. Okay. Awesome. So we have our probably 3-foot banner here. So that is the second craft. That's 2 out of 3. And the next one we're going to be moving on to is a personal favorite, and that is the Ojos de Dios, which translates to Spanish as God's eye. These are really, really beautiful. They have a lot of cultural meaning. These are viewed as talisman of protection in the Mexican culture. Often you see in places like Persia, you see the blue-white layered eye. That is also similar to the god's eye. That's essentially what this is. They're the same thing. They're protectors of gossip, people being sending energetic like jealousy towards you and things like that. So people like to put these in their homes, in their cars. Again, this represents the element of wind because they're kind of like banners and kites similarly. So that's kind of a little bit about where they come from. One of the most common cultures in Mexico that does a great deal of work with this, just beautiful mandalas that are really, really complex, and that's the huichol. Here you see that the star has 4 shapes, but in the huichol culture, they are such amazing experts at it that they make mandalas that are 6 pointed stars, 8, 12, and then off of each stem, they'll add on additional mandalas that are small. So their work is quite amazing. And if you all have an interest in like looking that up, that's pretty awesome. So this is what we're going to make today. And the supplies that are required for that are the dowel rods, and then your color choice of yarn. I believe the kits include 4 dowel rods, which means you'll be able to make 2 ojos de Dios. That is pretty cool. If after this workshop you feel like you want to step it up a notch and you want to make a 6-pointed star or an 8-pointed star, I super encourage you to do that. But for the sake of making this workshop accessible to all ages, we're just going to start with the 2 dowel rods, making a 4-pointed star, and we are going to lay this perpendicular like this. And so remember, again, we're working from the center outside, so whichever color you apply first is going to be in the center, and then outward it's going to expand. So I actually am. I'm gonna use blue. I already have my yarn that's chosen. What I did is I pre-chose the colors that I was gonna use and was practicing. So I actually already have blue. And then I knotted the other color. This is like the transfer, right? When I'm switching colors. But when I get to this, I'll be sure to show you how to tie it. It's not very difficult. So we're going to take this end right here. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay these on my fingers. I'm right-handed, so it's going to be easier for me to go on the left and kind of use this. What I'm going to do is I am going to tie these at the center, but I also want to have a little bit of a string like coming out. If it's too short and I want to tie it off, it's going to be really, really annoying. So I recommend give yourself a good 2 inches there off the top because you may or may not need this, and it's better that it's longer than it's shorter. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it completely in the opposite direction. I'm just gonna go maybe like 3 times, and I just want to adjust that I make sure that it's in the center. And right now I'm just eyeballing it, and I'll probably keep readjusting it, but I just want to make sure it's in the center as possible, and that looks pretty good to me. Okay. And then I'm gonna go and loop it around this direction because I want to tighten it. We're not making any designs yet. We're just tightening the center. 2 and 3. That's 3 times. I'm going to tighten it. Again, I want to eyeball it and make sure that it's in the center. Like that. I think that's pretty good. Oh no. I feel like one of them's, they're not longer than the other. It's just like optical illusion. My brain's kind of. So now I have this couple of inches I told you all about. Now I'm going to go ahead and tie this. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to take this and I'm going to tie it again. There you go. I'm going to pull. All right. I feel pretty good about that. It's going to be like a narrow X, but go ahead and adjust it because you want even 90-degree angles. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this design. And the way that's done is we're going to make one loop around the entire rod, and we're going to start clockwise. So I'm going to start here, then I'm going to go to this one, then I'm going to go to this one, and then I'm going to go to this one, right? And then I'm going to go constantly all the way around. It's a square, but I'm essentially going in a circle, okay? And like to go like a clock. This is like 1 or 2, so this is the one I'm going to start with. So I'm going to tie it once around. This is the 1 o'clock and this is the 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to loop it around. And I want to push this down. The thread is behind the dowel. And I'm going to wrap it around forward. Okay, you see that? I'm going to pull it down. And then I'm going to do the same to this one. Okay, and I'm going to do that in a circle. And right now I'm only going around once. Ugh. There you go. It's getting its shape now. And so as I'm fixing it, I want to pull them close. Otherwise I'll have gaps. I just have a lot of string here. This little thing's annoying, but it's better to keep it on. Just doing this over and over again. Okay. As of yet, I don't have any gaps. I keep pushing the yarn back into the center flip it around because we've been working on the back. And now we're here at the front. And I want to show you all how you can see the layers of the yarn of us going around in circles. So I'm going to go there. And also, as I'm going around, I'm adjusting it. So I'm tugging if I need to, if I feel like kind of adjusting if it's a little loose or a little tight, I'm going to adjust how far I pull. Okay. Then I'm going to go across. You're going to loop it around once. Around once. This also is an activity that takes quite a bit of time, but they're really, really beautiful. I'm looking forward to hanging this up on the window somewhere. Make sure it catches some sunlight. See, I rolled this one way too close on top. So that's why you want to be careful that it's steady and tight in all directions. This. Pull it up. Right. I'm going to loop it around once. What was in our activity that you enjoyed the least?
The
Like
least?
something that you just didn't
like.
like.
It's hard to remember like activity that I didn't like. I can't recall. I liked all things artsy.
Cool.
All things where I can do something with my hands, even if it was hard. I think what took me a while to get were those like little it was like back in like late elementary school. I was taught how to do like those like keychains with like rubber bands or like with yarn or something like that. Or you can make it into bracelets. That one I had fun with, but like I could never do like, you know, the very thick rectangular ones because it was just a lot. But I had classmates that were able to do that. So it was crazy. But I was able to do like little skinny ones and see how far it went. And then I lose patience.
Yeah.
I don't know what those are called, but
Are they made out of like a gelatinous latexy kind of a strand?
Yeah.
And they're thin and they're
Mhm.
plasticky.
Mhm.
I know what you're talking about. Those are really big and like with my aunts and uncles, and they're like 8-10 years older than I when they were in high school. And I remember you used to be able to go to the flea market
Oh,
and there would be a person that would sell the materials. So you can get different colors by the yarn.
oh.
And then they'd have the loop for the keychain, and then they have
Yeah.
beads, the alphabet, because people like to put their names and things like that.
Mhm.
I remember those.
Yeah.
I think I might still have some
Mhm.
in my box from 90s stuff.
Right. And then I remember doing kind of a similar thing, but it was just with yarn string or just string, colored string. And you'd make kind of like the same kind of deal, but like in bracelet form. You'd have to like tape down, like if you were using like so many different colors, you had to like tape them down and then kind of weave them over around to make it that intricate pattern. I remember that too.
Something I found really difficult to get into was like beading. That seems like it takes a great deal of patience. that maybe I didn't have at the time, or
Mhm.
not really sure.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing those too.
All right, we're to the second color. So I'm gonna go around just so that it doesn't lose shape, but I do want to pause and show you all how to tie a different color. So again, I just don't want it to lose its shape, so I just want to go around a couple more times. Circle, go around. So what I want to do is I just like to tie my string so I don't lose the shape. And then if I am trying to incorporate a different color, I connect the ends.
You want pink?
Thank you. I just want to show them how they can switch. So just tie a regular knot. You tie a regular knot. You don't need to do it double, otherwise it'll be too wide. And then you snip the ends, and that's how you switch colors.
That's awesome.
So now I'm gonna do this, and I wrapped it a few times because I don't want to lose the shape, so I'm gonna unwrap it. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I want to push and make sure that it's tight, make sure that they're even. I'm gonna wrap it around. I wish I had some dowel rods for you.
It's okay. I love watching. It's satisfying.
Okay, good to know.
The continuous, motions of going around and around.
That is very therapeutic. It's a repetitive motion.
And seeing it develop too, like right before my eyes, is pretty cool. I got to make a pretty cool. Yeah, this one's my flower, and then my banner. I didn't take the measurements right for all 6, but
Oh, gotcha.
so I just did this thing.
Okay. And again, I am going into my third color. I have blue and yellow, and now I'm going into pink. And again, we just tie them together and then cut the ends of the strings. I use this repetitively, so I have